kind of great to be up right before lunch. So we're going to try to keep your attention the entire time. But if you don't know me, I am Ralphie, VP of Customer Success at Deepgram. Deepgram is a language AI company. We kind of have our foundation on research, and we build AI models that we service to our customers through an API. So that's at least what we were doing when I left on Friday. Don't know what we'll be doing next week. This is an AI company. But I've been in tech for 14 years. I've spent the last 5 years building CS teams from the ground up and really working with some of the most innovative AI companies in the world.
Hi, and I'm Jan Young. I'm the founder and CCO of Jan Young CX. I specialize in helping heads of CS become VPs and get a seat at the executive table. I'm OG. I've been around since .com days. I've done pretty much everything. Yeah, some of you can relate to that. And I've done pretty much everything but code. So I use that experience and expertise to help founders and organizations with their go-to-market alignment, post-sales revenue, and emerging technologies.
So let's jump in. Using AI to transform your post-sales revenue. So we've seen the headlines, tech is evolving, the economic landscape is evolving, and we've all been impacted in some way. We're all being asked to do more with less. The reality is that's our new norm. We're being asked to be more digital. We're being asked to free up our CSM's times. We're also being asked to meet our customers where they are. These shifts in the market, in tech, and how businesses operate have really changed the scope of how CS operates. And as CS leaders, we're now being asked to, again, do more, manage more tasks, but more importantly, expand our revenue footprint. And this is where AI can really, really help you, because one of the things I think a lot of CS leaders struggled with during this evolution and while things were evolving over the last year is being able to tie the activities that their CSMs were doing to revenue. And what I've done, at Deepgram and even at other companies is used AI to be able to pull insights that kind of really pushes me to beyond just being someone that manages accounts and having my team that manages accounts. We really bring our customers to the center of the organization, and we really push out to empower the product roadmap, help marketing make decisions, and help our go-to-market teams make decisions. So the role in AI and all of that is very powerful, and that's what we're going to jump into today.
So actually, I want you to be futurists for a second, and that's why we're going to go and look at the past. And that's the secret that futurists do. They look at the past. We just want to take an example, say motor engines. Let's look at cars. There were some holdouts. There were some people who were like, I'm never going away from my horse. I'm always going to use the horse, right? How did that go for them, right? 100 years later, we're fully entrenched in using cars. I should know I live in Los Angeles, okay? So when you think about it, though, it's more that we went from blacksmiths to car mechanics. Even take a look at the skills at car mechanics and how that's changed over the last 100 years. Take a look at the infrastructure. Sure, we have roads and freeways and that sort of thing, but we have restaurants, we have hotels, we have huge supermarkets, we live in suburbs. All of that is because of the car, the way it impacts your life, the way it impacts how you work. All of that is because of the car that is here with us, right? When you think about, we all work in tech. There was a time when computers took up a whole room. There were only a few big companies or the government that had computers, and then it went to the desk, right? We had it on the desk, and now we have it in our hand, right? So in the same way, AI, we've had it for decades. What's different now since November? Now we have generative AI. Generative AI means you don't have a room full of data scientists. You don't have a room full of coders that are doing this. You're doing the prompt. You're learning how to do it. It's you. So you want to think about how that's going to impact your CS program, how that's going to impact you as a CS leader, you as an organization, your customers, how you live, how you work. That's what we're going to talk about. But where do you start? You start the way you always have. You identify the problem, and that leads you to the questions. Where we all need to live is in those questions, right? That's what makes us good leaders. We ask the right questions. Now it's going to lead you to the AI tool. Now, it is a tool, and tools don't lead you to your solution. No more does a CS platform lead you to your solution. then an AI tool will lead you to your solution. You lead you to the solution. You have to be on top of your game. You need to have the CS chops. That leads you then to the benefits, the challenges, and the signals that you look for. Signals that you're getting the benefits that you're looking for, signals that you're facing some challenges. You might have bad data. We all know about garbage in, garbage out. You're going to be closer to that. We all know about looking at the hallucinations that AI might bring us, right? So if you are on top of your CS chops, you'll be able to take a look at what AI is giving you and say, is that it? And that's based upon those questions that you're asking, okay? So you are the guide.
So let's jump in. How many people in this room have used ChatGPT? Guess what? I'm not going to be talking about ChatGPT. One, because they're our competitor, but two, because I think ChatGPT kind of created a false reality of what you can do with AI. You can, use it to do prompts. There's tons of cool things you can do in ChatGPT. But I also saw a lot of customers of mine. I saw a lot of CS leaders jump directly into trying to build CS programs and different initiatives and playbooks around ChatGPT or using GPT-4 or GPT 3.5, which is great if you have the resources to do so. What we've all learned is we don't have the resources to build out a full, AI model or a program using these tools because you need data scientists, you need researchers, you need all of these different folks to help you do that. But there are tools that exist today that are building things that you can use to empower your CS team, to empower your CS program. And when I think about AI, I think about it as an overarching umbrella of understanding. Understanding your customers' behavior, predicting their needs, and proactively offering solutions. And there are tools that can give you insights through generative AI. And I want to deep dive into just a couple of those because I know many of you are doing things like recording your meetings. You may be using chatbots. You may be using tools that are giving you product uses insights, predictive analytics. But all of these things have one thing in common. They allow you to scale your CS program and your digital CS strategy through personalized experiences as well as building automation into your workflows. So let's talk about AI meeting assistants. I work with Avoma. They are an AI meeting assistant tool. They allow you to get customer conversations insights through transcripts and summaries. And why I really like working with Avoma and companies similar to Avoma is because they give your CSMs the ability to get time back. Who's using meeting tools that allow you to record your conversations? How many of those tools are giving you transcripts back? How many of those tools are actually giving you insights that you can use across your organization? Every time those hands went down. Because everyone's been recording their calls for a very long time. That's not new. But what is new, the ability to get those transcripts, to be able to create summaries that your CSMs can use. Like if you're in a call and your CSM is able to say, this is an action item that I want to take away. I'm going to highlight this portion of the conversation. Or I want to note this for our product team and be able to create snippets that you can immediately after the call send to your product team. You don't have to send the whole recording. They don't have to sit and listen to the entire recording anymore. You're able to use AI to be able to summarize these calls in a very different way that allows you to create snippets that can empower the entire organization. It allows you to be the voice of the customer in a very, very different way. I think the extracting action items things is one of the things my CSMs are most excited about because they no longer have to end a call, remember what was said, type up the notes, and then go back and make sure it gets into our CSP. A lot of these tools now give you the ability after the call to pump it directly into your CRM or pump it directly into your CSP. Another cool thing that I'm starting to see is sentiment analysis. And if you're familiar with sentiment analysis, it pretty much takes either audio or text and determines the sentiment of the conversation. So I'm seeing a lot of tools start to build that in real time, so they're able to measure whether or not the call is positive, neutral, or negative while you're on the call. So if things are kind of taking a turn, you don't have to wait for your CSM to say, oh, I think the call went well. No, you know if it went well or not. The same with text-based. So you can now take those transcripts using sentiment analysis and be able to get that data back. Why is that important? Because you can use that type of data, those types of insights, and key them directly into your customer health score. So your customer health score now has insights from your communication channels, from the conversations that you're having directly with your customers.
And I am really excited for that functionality because I know as a leader, I couldn't listen to all of those recordings. That was impossible. And then to try to bubble it up and give the information to product or to product marketing and the things that they needed to hear. But that same functionality, not only as a leader where you don't have enough time to listen to all the recordings, so this empowers you, your CSMs actually have time to actually get it into, well, they don't have to take the time to get it into the CSP, right? That same functionality is what's been limiting our AEs. And so when we think about the information that you get from the AE about why that customer wanted to buy the product, what outcomes they were trying to achieve. Who here gets perfect information 100% of the time from your AEs when you're doing that sales handoff? No one's raising their hand? Okay, so it's the same challenge that they're having, and that same sort of functionality is helping the AEs. And if you as CS leaders are weighing in and saying, hey, the information that you're extracting so you can get that sale, I need some of that information and I need to see it over here. That's the type of thing that you can step in and call out for, and you should be.
Another tool are chatbots. So if your CS team was impacted by rifts, or if your support team were impacted by rifts, this is another way where I'm seeing a lot of customers are using it to accelerate their customer experience. Chatbots can be implemented in, multi-channel, so they can be implemented in your Slack channels, they can be implemented, in-app or on your website, in your help center, or within your, app. So with chatbots, again, when you're using chatbots that use AI, it allows you to generate additional analytics around customer conversations. What are our customers asking us for? What are the issues that we're seeing? What trends are we seeing with those issues? One of the tools that we've actually used allows us to build this directly in Slack. So we support mostly all of our enterprise customers in Slack. I know we're crazy. We started this when I first started at the company, but each one of our customers have their own Slack channel. And it became a pain for our CSMs to try to manage each one of those individual Slack channels. So we partner with a company that actually allows you to service your customers directly in Slack. And by doing so, we're now able to take any questions that are coming in. They automatically, using AI, determine which questions are technical, so they route those to our support team, which questions are for our CSMs, and they route those to kind of an inbox, so our CSMs have an action item flow, are understanding what they need to follow up on. Beyond that, and then this is a tool we actually built internally, and we're partnering with this company to actually help them bring it to market, we built a tool called Navi. And it's a knowledge-based article tool where it'll generate a knowledge-based article based on the question that the customer was asking. The issue with that is there's gold in your Slack channels. There's so much context in the Slack channel that doesn't always reflect when you respond using an AI tool. So we built a tool that allowed us to say, let's comb through this channel. Have we talked about this with the customer before? Is this something that we talked about a year ago? Or does their use case determine how we respond to this? So with our tool called Navi, we now respond not only with the knowledge-based article, but we may mention, hey, we talked to Bob last week about this, and here's the information that we gave them. So AI gives you the ability to do a lot, but I think the point I want to make is you don't have to do this yourself. You don't have to build these tools internally yourself. There are tools that are thinking about how you can service your customer, how you can service the customer success team in a very different way, and these are tools that you should absolutely explore.
So before I dig into this slide, I want to just share a little story about the last time I tried to pull together a bunch of information that we're talking about here today that AI can help you with. I think, let's see, I buddied up with a business analyst. It took us about 8 weeks. We figured out the customer acquisition cost per customer base segment. What else we did? We figured out the onboarding costs for each of these accounts. We figured out how much they were spending in terms of support costs, what sort of profit we were making off of each account, the revenue and the profit. We figured that out by account, by customer base segment. I presented this to the executive team. They loved it. I presented it in all hands to the whole company. They loved it. It was a retrospective of the year that we'd just gone through, and they were like, wow, this is amazing. Can we do this for Q1? And I said, yes, give me 8 weeks, right? And that's the data. We all have the data, but it's locked up. We don't have access to it, right? It takes 8 weeks to find out what happened yesterday. So instead, what I want to encourage you to do is to think about how these AI tools, whether they're in your company today, where they're building out AI, or if you're going to bring in an AI tool, I want you to start thinking about how you can analyze the data from last year like that, how you can analyze the data from last quarter, how you can analyze the data from this month, from this week, from yesterday, from today. Right? That's what the opportunity is. The opportunity is that it can actually help you do the work you've always wanted to do. So let's look at some of the tools. We have some tools that are around the product, the usage data, right? And so look at Pendo. Pendo is building some AI capabilities now where they can tell the product manager where the key areas are, where the most customer friction is. And they can even then, so that's using machine learning where it's doing the analysis. Then what they're doing is with generative AI, they're generating an in-app guide that then will say, hey, this is maybe what you want to use. You can either modify it or accept it. Think about how much time that's saving the product manager. Well, we benefit by that as well because as CS leaders, we're concerned about the customer experience, right? Then when you take a look at that same set of data, there are companies out there that are analyzing that and using it for go-to-market. They're saying, here are these user stories that your customers are generally using, or by segment, or by account. Here are the most popular use cases. Here's where people are successful. Here's where they're at risk, right? What that does for your marketing team is it helps clarify across for that go-to-market alignment with your marketing, sales, and CS team. It helps clarify who your ideal customer profile is, right? It helps your marketing team clarify what user stories they should be sharing. It helps clarify which segments they should be targeting. Same for sales, right? Then now they can speak to the right user story for the right segment. And for CS then, we are now powered with understanding where our adoption is working, where we need to focus, where we might need to incentivize our CSMs, right? So that's using the same set of data, but companies using it in a different way to help you in a different way. When you take a look then at the customer insights, when Ralphie was talking about sentiment and those types of things, we have companies that are taking, looking across at all of your interactions across your organization, across with the customer and their whole organization. So that's especially important when you're looking at enterprise, right? And now you can see if you have the breadth and depth of relationships. Are you multi-threaded? Or maybe you're at risk, you're not multi-threaded. Now you can take a look at things like what is the sentiment with certain groups versus others, and what does that really mean for the relationship, and what sort of action plans do you want to come up with on an account basis? What are the trends? Is there a certain segment that you're not as strong with? Or, are there certain CSMs that you need to help along because maybe they're not as successful in helping their customers? It allows you to look at different trends, slicing and dicing it in different ways. It empowers you for risk mitigation and strategic planning. More excitingly to me, though, is some of the products and companies that are coming out and they're combining. They're taking the usage data and they're taking those customer insights and the sentiment and they're marrying it. And now you're really empowered. Now you can really see what sort of trends you have and have predictive trend analysis and project how you're going to end this quarter or end this year, right? So that's some of the, now you actually have some examples that is not the frustrating example that I had where it took 8 weeks. So why don't you share some of that?
So I know you're like, okay, if I don't have a tool that does all this for me, or maybe you're just using ChatGPT to do some sort of trend analysis, that's a start. One of the things that I was able to do was to take some expansion signals from our customer base. I was also able to take some risk mitigation signals, as well as looking at our closed lost data. And I took all of that data and using some different analytic tools, I was able to help our company determine that there was a segment of customers that simply did not need to touch the CS team. They did not need a CSM. They could be funneled through our self-service portal, and actually they were more successful when they did that. When they were given SDKs, when they were given guides, and not having to wait for a CSM to set up a meeting and talk through the technical aspects of their onboarding. And when I was able to give them that, that also empowered our marketing team and our sales team, our entire go-to-market team, to rethink our ICP, rethink our sales motion. So now we have a self-service portal where those customers can come in on their own, be able to, easy to try, easy to buy, swipe a credit card and get moving. And now we have a separate enterprise motion. But again, I was able to take those signals from churn, those signals from expansion, and be able to take that data so we can really start to predict the behavior that we were seeing within our customer base and then action on it. And I think the key takeaway there is it's not just the data, it's what you do with the data after you get it. How are you taking that data and empowering other organizations and other teams within your company to actually do things with your customer data?
So let's see, can I go back? Nope. But what I'm going, the two other slides before, you saw trend insights, right?
Trend analysis.
Trend analysis, trend identification. Mm-hmm. We see trend prediction. Are you seeing the trend? This is the whole point. When you unlock the data, when you unleash the data, you can see the trends. That's the point. So I'm going to take a quick second and look at these takeaways. Want to be sure that you've gotten the message. AI is just a tool, right? Doing more with less is here to stay. AI, transformative, also here to stay, right? Want you to approach it systematically like any other CS initiative, just one step at a time. We want you to look beyond the email, beyond the ChatGPT, and think about how you're going to use it next. Not just, instead of blacksmiths, we're going to have car mechanics. Now we have roads. But what are the restaurants and the hotels and the supermarkets and the suburbs of AI? What is it going to build? What are you going to build with it? I want you to think imaginatively. What does it spur on? What does it enable you to do? If it unleashes your data, you can anticipate, forecast, and change your future.
We talked about the future. We've talked about AI, chatbots, robot assistants. We've talked about machine learning. All of these things are here to help us. And I've said it over and over again. As CS leaders, we have to do a better job at showing how we impact revenue, how our teams impact revenue, how their activities impact revenue. And this really enables us to identify gaps within our customer journey, identify gaps within our team, and really redefine our customer journey, redefine customer success. And when I say redefine, I'm literally going through customer success 2.0 at Deep Graham. I'm almost 3 years in, and I feel like I've done this 4 times already, but I'm just gonna stick with 2.0 because maybe I'll get it right this time. But no, it's something that you always have to iterate on, and when you're in an industry, especially like AI, that happens quickly. Things change rapidly. But that's also your world now, even if you're not in AI. Things are starting to change rapidly. Your customers are iterating at a faster pace. And you want to make sure you're enabling yourself, you're adapting, and you're embracing the technologies because it could really be the cornerstone of you evolving your customer success programs.
I was telling Dave outside, actually, how much I loved his morning message, and especially the part where he was talking about how we need to innovate, right? What scares me isn't someone who comes to me and says, I don't know. What scares me is the person who says, I've been doing this for 5 years, I've been doing this for 10 years, I know. Ask questions. This is not a time to rest on your laurels. This is a time to dive head in. But you don't have to go big to go small. To start. You should start small. It's okay to start small. Start somewhere. Dig in. Try something.
I'd say
Iterate.
just too, like
Well,
one of the
I-
things we also kind of talked about is starting with what you already have in your tech stack.
Yeah.
I think everyone in here raised their hand and said, hey, we are recording our meetings.
Yeah.
Talk to them. Are they using AI? If they're not, do exactly what you want your customers to do. Have a conversation and say, I need you to help me unlock some insights in these calls that I'm recording. And if they're not doing that, help them build out their roadmap by giving them that feedback. It has been exciting to see a lot of tools really start to really focus around customer success. And that's the most exciting part, is because they're not just thinking about how can we use these tools for sales or for marketing. They're really building things specifically for our teams. So if you're using tools that aren't thinking that way, help them to think that way. We're thought leaders in this room, and we really need to empower these companies that are starting these AI initiatives to think about more than just the sales motion. Help us think about how we can continue to expand the post-sales motion as well.
And if we scared you today, we don't want it to be deer in headlights scared. We want you to go back to your teams and your organizations and think Action Monday, right? Like, get scared into Action Monday. That's where you need to be. It is a big transformative tech. AI is big. While it's okay to start small, the most important thing is to remember you identify a problem, you try something out, you iterate, you measure. You iterate, you measure. You iterate, you measure. That's what we do. That's what you're going to do. The point is, do something, do anything. Do it now. Thanks.
Any questions? We have a few more minutes before.
Ralphie, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So I loved what you were saying about how some customers actually did better without a CSM and in kind of this async self-led world. Mm-hmm. And we do a lot of that at Loom as well, different tracks. We have a large scaled book of business, and we've tried segmenting different ways, perhaps by ARR, anyone under a certain threshold, you go in this book. But we know that's not the right way to segment. So what are the trends or indicators of those customers who truly will do better in that motion?
So since we're an AI company, it looks slightly different for me. For me, it was based on the resources they had available to help them actually get DeepGram deployed. So if they were heavily, they had researchers, they had, machine learning engineers, they had developers that can get them up and running, it was a smoother process for them. It was really the ones that were bootstrapping. They were startups that didn't have someone that could help them really integrate DeepGram into their product in a more cohesive way. They needed SDKs. They needed the ability to really kind of do a plug and play. So for me, it was slightly different because we aren't, subscription based, and it's not like that scale motion that most of you are probably familiar with. But it was more based on the resources that they had. So during the kickoff call, we really established, hey, what resources do you have available? Do we partner with one of our partners, and do they help you kind of deploy in those types of motions? But we realized our CSMs aren't technical. Our CSMs don't need to do those things. So we developed an applied engineering team along with us moving that segment of customers where they can give them the technical support that they need beyond even the SDKs. So that's how we were able to scale kind of that product-led motion in a different way by still giving them the technical support that they needed.
But that's really the key, is to take a look at your product and your customer base, understand what the complexity is, who's being successful, who isn't, and thinking about what journey they're on. Maybe you approach it with a pooled customer success model where you say, hey, we see you're getting off track, you get a CSM for a week and we'll get you back on track. Something like that. We've seen a lot of success with companies doing that. There can be a variety of ways. You can also target the types of webinars that you do for the people who really need to hear it, for the folks that'll resonate with them. I'm sure that you've tried some of these things as well, so we can also talk off stage as well about some of those strategies. Any other questions, or is everybody just ready to book it to
I'm
lunch?
ready to eat too.
We're around if you want to just talk offline.
Thank you.
Thanks.